everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be talking about the 3 most irritating things that people do when they come in for a photography session. Okay, so to preface the story, if you did not already know, I work as a studio photographer, so I take pictures. I work both the photography end, so I am a photographer, and I work the sales end, which means I also sell the pictures and do the floor work and things like that. So with all of that, the first thing that I feel like most people do is usually either one extreme or the other, but this extreme is the most irritating. And it is when parents come in for just the session for their child, whether it's their child's birthday pictures or their child's milestone pictures or whatever the case may be, it is a session just for the child. When they literally just say, "Here's my child," and walk away. And I literally cannot even explain to you how frustrating that is, both on like the job part, because we're not there to babysit your kids, we're not there to like make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, we make sure that they do what they're supposed to do, but we are not in any way technically supposed to really be like picking up the baby, picking up the kids. I mean, we can like readjust for the pose, we can like reach over and like, tuck their hair around, or they can like scooch them back on the little chair because maybe they're not sitting quite right, that type of thing, but we're not actually supposed to be like grabbing the child and putting them where we need to have them. That's the parent's job. So it's very, very frustrating for when they just hand you the child and walk away, and first of all, you're not supposed to be that person. You're just supposed to take the pictures and tell mom how we're doing it, like show her, work together as a team. It gets done really fast if you just listen to your photographer and what she or he is asking of you to do. So there's that. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that. That makes the job 10 times harder because, first of all, the child doesn't know you and they're probably really scared. Even if you're like a super nice person, they don't know who you are and they're not going to listen. Chances are they're going to scream and cry and run after mom and dad. Second of all, it's very, very frustrating because then not only are you trying to like pose the baby and like make sure that the kid's staying where they're supposed to be while also holding a giant camera and keeping them in focus while moving all of this up here. So frustrating, and I really just, when parents are just like, "Here, go in there and take your picture." I mean, when they're like 8 or 9, 10 years old at that point, when they can listen to and follow instructions, that's fine. Like, by all means, I'm talking about the parents who have 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, that kind of thing, and they just give them to you and expect for you to produce magic, and it doesn't work like that. The second most irritating thing is when parents not only hand you their child and not help you, and maybe they don't actually walk away per se, maybe they're still in the area, but instead of helping you get the photos that you need, helping with their child sitting still, helping with disciplining the child, they are standing right behind you and they either have out their phone or a camera that they brought with them or some other type of thing, and they are letting you do all of this horrible work with their screaming child and your creative poses on the copyrighted backgrounds, I might add, and they're taking their own pictures behind you. And this is so frustrating to me because, first of all, you're not supposed to do that. Our backgrounds are copyrighted, and it's really just awkward to have to stop the session and say, "I need you to put that away, you need to delete whatever video or photos you have, our backgrounds are copyrighted, blah, blah, blah." All that. Like, it's just really awkward. It takes up time in the session. I probably had a perfect pose on your child, and now I have to stop and your child's off doing God knows what because you were breaking policy. It says so right on like the check-in sheets, on the website, on your offers, and all that stuff, not to take photos in the camera rooms or of the monitors afterwards when you're viewing the photos. And then along with that, I just think it's so rude and disrespectful when you are actually coming into a professional photographer for the sole purpose of having photographs taken of your children. And you have the audacity to, instead of helping that photographer with wrangling all the children around. You're actually just going to stand in the back and take your own photos so that you don't have to buy any of the studio's photos. Half the time I'm just like, you know what, I'm sorry, you came to me to have photographs. Let me do my job or you can leave. And they don't like that, and it's really awkward. But I honestly, it's so rude. It's so disrespectful to bring your children to a professional for photos and then just stand behind and do nothing, taking your own photos. I literally had one guy come in. His children were, like, you have kids that are good at taking pictures, like they follow instructions, they do what they're supposed to do. And then you have the kids that are also good at that, but they're a little bit more hyper and need a little bit more extra attention. I think you guys know what I mean. And then we have the kids who just scream and cry and they don't want to have anything to do with it. This particular man's children, if I remember correctly, it was one boy, one girl. The girl was one of those that she just really didn't want her picture taken, but she was old enough to understand that she needed to and that she needed to be a big girl and do it. The little boy was kind of just in that really, really hyper. I'm not sure he actually wanted his picture taken, but he was like 2. So he was very much in that stage of, I don't want my picture taken, I just want to run around in circles because this is a new place and I'm not supposed to do this, so naturally I'm going to do it. The dad, I kid you not only is just like, here's my kids, they're running around in circles, not wanting to do anything. Dad's not offering any help. He goes off to the side, and we have like these benches on the side of the camera room sometimes. If they're not in use, they're pushed up against the wall. And he puts down this big black bag. And a part of me was like, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. You're going to put your stuff down finally and help me with your kids. No, that's not what happened. He opens up this big black bag, pulls out like a Canon freaking big camera. He changes out the lens. He's zooming everything in. He flat out is like, pose my children, please. And I'm like doing my job, doing whatever pose I was doing. I don't remember. And I'm getting them, I finally got them to sit still, and I hold up my camera, I'm like, okay guys, look right here, pointing to the area where they have to look. Dad comes in front of me, like I'm right here, getting ready to take the picture. Dad comes in front of me right here with his camera and snaps his picture. He's like, okay, next pose. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, so rude and so disrespectful. You brought your kids to me to have their picture taken, and you're literally going to come right in front of me and take your own picture. Don't be that parent when you go get your children's photos done. Just let the professional do it, and everything will go better. I promise. And the third most irritating thing that happens with customers at the photography studio, it happens all the time. The irritating part of this whole situation is that we get them all the way up to the monitor, we're clicking through, we're showing them their pictures. Every single picture, the mom is like, oh my gosh, my son is so cute, and then dad's like, oh my gosh, my little girl is so pretty and grown up, and then it's the kids together, and they're like, oh my gosh, we have to get that one for our parents for Grandparents' Day, and then it's mom and dad together, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so cute, we love it, and then it's the family together, and they're like, oh my gosh, we have to have that one as a big canvas, and everything is like going really good, and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I captured memories for these people, and you're feeling really good about it, and they seem to like it, and everybody's happy until this happens. So many times that whole thing happens where everybody loves their photos and they want to get canvases and they want to send them to grandparents and all of this stuff. They order the digital file, which gives them copyrights to every single image. It's sent to them via email or on a disc or a CD or however the guest chose to purchase that, with the digital file with copyrights to every single image. And they leave. And you're thinking, wow, that was great. They love their pictures. I'm so happy I could capture those moments for them. And then the phone rings. Maybe 15 minutes later. And you answer the phone and you give your spiel of how you're supposed to answer the phone at work. And it's the same person calling to complain about how horrible their photos are. Now, it's really frustrating when it's like somebody else answers the phone and gets that phone call, and then you hear back from it later, whether it's like your boss wanting to know what happened, or my coworker just got the phone call and they came in and they're like, hey, this person just called back, something about they didn't like their photos. And I'm like, no. They love their photos. They were oohing and awing over them, wanted to get 1,000,000 canvases for grandparents. That's not what they told me. I would not have forced them to get the digital file if they didn't like them. These people usually try to say that they felt pressured to purchase a digital file, only to then receive the digital file, call and complain and say they want their money back, but the digital file's already been sent, so they're really just trying to get their pictures for free. So, I mean, it's frustrating to hear it like third hand, second hand, whatever that would be for this, like hearing it from somebody else. But it is so awkward when you are the only person working. It has been 15 minutes since they left the studio. They know that you were the only person working there. And then they call to complain about how they don't like their photos. And you're like, what? You told me you like them. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, are you the person that took our photos? We're so sorry. We didn't want to hurt your feelings. And I'm like, you knew I was the only one here. I mean, I feel like it's such a no-brainer thing. I mean, maybe some people feel like they have to purchase things because they're going to make the photographer feel bad that maybe they didn't like their photos. And trust me, we do not feel that way. There are definitely times where we photograph a certain way in a certain style that maybe is not their style, and when they see the photos they realize that maybe there's only like one or two that is like their style that they would put up in their house. That's totally fine. People have different styles, different tastes, different posings that they're wanting to do, so it's not a big deal. It does not hurt our feelings when you don't like every single photo. But getting back to my point, I think it's really just common sense that if you don't like your photos, don't buy the photos. Like, it would not have hurt my feelings if they were like, oh, you know what, I really like those family ones and maybe like one or two of the kids, but that's all I really am wanting. That's fine. Tell me that. Or if it was an issue with like, oh, you didn't like your little girl's smile when she was smiling funny, let's get back in the camera room, let me retake it. Don't go through this whole process of making me think that you loved your photos only to come to find out that you really hated them. That's what is hard for us. And I mean, it's hard for us because we are trying our best to capture a moment in time for your family. And when we get positive feedback, we're like, okay, great, we accomplished what we wanted to. We created a memory for you. You're happy, and we're feeling good about that. If you're not happy with your photos, tell us immediately. There's not going to be any force purchasing, at least at our location or in our chain of portrait studios. Some locations might do that. I mean, just saying. But at our location, we're not going to pressure you into buying something you don't really want. And if you don't like it, just tell us. It's not going to hurt our feelings. What is hard for us to hear is that this whole time we thought we had done this really great thing for you, only to come to find out that you hated it in the end and that you just were not comfortable telling us. So all of that to say, those are the 3 things that happen basically on a daily basis in the life of a photographer that is just super irritating, super like not in my job description type of situation. Because first of all, it's not my job to take care of your kids, it's my job to take pictures of your kids. It is not your job to take pictures of your kids when I am trying to take pictures of my kids. Take pictures of your kids on your own time, not when you're paying a photographer to do so. And if you don't like your pictures, don't buy your pictures. It doesn't hurt us if you say you don't like them at the beginning. I promise. And that is it for today's video. Those are just my 3 most irritating things that happen all the time. If you liked it or can relate or it made you giggle a little bit, give this video a thumbs up and consider hitting the subscribe button right down below, and then you don't get to miss out on any of my videos as I post them. I have lots of Storytime videos. Hopefully you guys like them. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!